It's the Bahrain Grand Prix. It's lights out, and away we go. Verstappen gets away well, as does Charles Leclerc. Perez is trying to cover him off, but he might be a bit too late. There might have been contact there as well.
Hello, Formula One fans. Welcome to Formula Pun Racer. Today is March 15th, 2023. Today I'm here to give you my review of the first round of the Formula One season, which took place in Bahrain back on March 5th. And boy, oh boy, it was a race of unexpected surprises. For instance, Fernando Alonso in his first race with the Aston Martin racing team, in one of the two practice times, set second fastest time. Then in another practice time, he actually was slightly less than a second faster than Max Verstappen's Red Bull.
Wow, holy smoke!
Well, I'm glad to see you find Fernando Alonso's performance exciting, Ke-Huy Quan. And who would have thought that that kid who played Short Round in Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom back in 1984 and Data in The Goonies in 1985, who would have thought that just a few days ago from this recording, he actually went from being nominated on his first try to winning Oscar for Best Supporting Actor in the movie Everything Everywhere All at Once. I mean, it's just amazing. So I say, Ke-Huy Quan, congratulations. I watched the Oscars and I was surprised to see you so much as nominated, but the fact you won on your first try for the Best Picture of 2022, congratulations, Ke-Huy Quan. And without further ado, now let's get started on my review of the 2023 Bahrain GP, shall we?
Okie dokie, Dr. Jones, hold on to your potato.
And Formula One in 2023 is go! Poor getaway for Sergio Perez, great launch off the line from Charles Leclerc, and they're very nearly making contact into turn number one.
As you see for the second time, that's how the race started, with the two Red Bulls of Max Verstappen and Sergio Perez first and second, the Ferraris of Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz Jr. starting third and fourth, and surprisingly, just like those fast practice times I told you about Fernando Alonso did, he had the luxury of starting fifth in this race. And boy, oh boy, it was definitely a race to remember, because also, when I said in my last video that Lance Stroll hurt himself and was going to be replaced by Felipe Drugovich in the first race, he was actually in fact cleared to race despite having some pain in his hands and a broken toe from his bicycling accident in Spain a few weeks ago. Well, he started 8th, so isn't that amazing for the young Canadian, eh?
I love it!
No doubt about it, for all us Lance Stroll fans who was anxious to see him back in the seat at Aston Martin. Oh, starting 8th seemed respectable in his condition, but only 4 corners in the first lap, he had quite a scare, running into the back of his own teammate Fernando Alonso. Boy, I gotta say, it's a miracle he didn't get a penalty for that, but at least no harm done for either car either, and they both continued on.
That was close.
Unfortunately, the Bahrain GP would be disastrous for McLaren, as their Australian rookie, Oscar Piastri, who replaces Daniel Ricciardo, was the first out with engine trouble on the 13th lap. Not a great run for him. And his British teammate, Lando Norris, he unfortunately finished 17th, 2 laps down because of some engine trouble regarding his hydraulics. But it would be even more of disastrous for Alpine Renault driver Esteban Ocon, who endured 3 separate penalties all at once. The first one was because he did not land in his grid slot properly, which incurred him a 5-second penalty, so he had to pull in the pits. And then he got another penalty on top of that because he didn't serve the full penalty correctly, so another penalty, like 10 seconds. And then on top of that, when he gets into the pits to serve that penalty, he speeds in the pits and gets another penalty. I mean, like, boy, it's unfortunate that for Esteban Ocon, like, and along with McLaren, was like having the worst luck of this race. Talk about being like Charlie Brown. Arg!
Oh.
Oh.
Arg!
While Piastri, McLaren, and Ocon were having the worst of luck, the other rookie making his debut in F1, Logan Sargent of the United States of America, driving for Team Williams, had the decency to at least finish 12th, so I would think something good could come of that. In addition, his teammate, Alexander Albon of Thailand, finished 10th, the final points-paying spot, and it was Zhou Guanyu of China driving for the Alfa Romeo team that set the fastest lap of the race just before the final lap of the race, because he went on soft tires just to nab that extra point, you could say. Like, fastest lap rewards you 1 extra bonus point. But as for the race itself, well, it looked like it was going to be Red Bull pulling away, and Charles Leclerc and his Ferrari just barely hanging on. But unfortunately, by lap 40 of 57, his engine gave out. So the Ferrari charge, the prancing horse that is, has become glued.
Grand Prix so far,
No.
but as they complete the accident,
Pretty disappointing for Charles Leclerc, even more upsetting for us fans of Ferrari. As a result of Charles Leclerc's Ferrari engine giving out and needing to be replaced for the next race, which will happen later on March 19th, I'll tell you where later in this video, that the Monegasque driver will have to take a 10 starting grid place penalty. Which means, in theory, even if he set the fastest qualifying time, he will be bumped back to 11th place at best. So, it's going to be a costly error, but what can you do? As a result of Leclerc's engine giving out, the race was put under virtual safety car conditions, which meant that his Spanish teammate, Carlos Sainz Jr., inherited third. But right behind him, Fernando Alonso had managed to have a ding-dong struggle with Lewis Hamilton and his Mercedes to inherit fourth. When the race got back under green, well, I can tell you one thing, it was basically the Red Bulls of Verstappen and Perez respectively 1-2 that would take the finish. But amazingly, for the third place finish, it was a Spanish fight between Carlos Sainz Jr. and his Ferrari and Fernando Alonso and his Aston Martin. But when all was said and done, the older Spaniard, who is a two-time world champion, Fernando Alonso, inherited third place to take the final position on the podium. So Aston Martin is finally on the podium once again. Oh! To make it more exciting for fans of Aston Martin, Fernando Alonso's Canadian teammate, Lance, was able, despite being in pain with his hands in tow, was able to stroll from 8th to 6th. Congratulations on this 3rd and 6th place finish for Aston Martin, eh? No doubt about it, with a Flying Dutchman, Max Verstappen, taking it to the max by winning the first race of the season in Bahrain, which is also his first win in Bahrain, in fact, as well, 12 seconds ahead of his teammate Sergio Perez. It is obvious that Max is presently leading the Drivers' Championship for the 3rd year in a row. Can he win a consecutive 3rd championship with Red Bull? Oh, we will find out soon enough, as the next round is this week in Saudi Arabia. No doubt about it. With Aston Martin finally finishing on the podium for the first time since Baku, Azerbaijan in 2021, which was driven by Sebastian Vettel to 2nd place, it might seem that Fernando Alonso has the gumption to get the green team on top. A possible win for the British team might be on the cards, in fact. And to show my enthusiasm by the fact that Aston Martin finishing 3rd and 6th actually helped Aston Martin presently be 2nd in points in the Constructors' Championship, just 20 points behind Red Bull. While Red Bull was pretty much in a league all by themselves, leaving the 3rd place finisher of Fernando Alonso almost 40 seconds behind, it was amazing at least to see the best of the rest jockey for position, especially the two Spaniards of Fernando Alonso and Carlos Sainz Jr. fighting for 3rd place. Well, a Spanish 3rd, 4th wasn't so bad. And the fact that Lance Stroll splitting the two Mercedes of Lewis Hamilton and George Russell, Hamilton finishing 5th and Russell finishing 7th, was also extraordinary. And as I said, with Aston Martin 2nd in points at this point behind Red Bull, even though it's a big deficit, I still believe that victory is eventually on the cards for the Aston Martin team. And to show my enthusiasm, I got 3 beautiful Aston Martins to show off here, in case you didn't notice in the background, as well as my wonderful green shirt to show my enthusiasm for the Mercedes-powered British team based in Silverstone. So, Lawrence Stroll, I wish you the best of luck in the coming races, and if you're wondering, when is the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix? Here is the schedule when you can see the return of the Jeddah circuit. No, not Jedi, Jeddah. Let's tune in. Can Red Bull maintain their dominant ways? Or can Aston Martin have a trick up their sleeve to knock down the Red Bull and grind them into steak while the Aston Martin wings fly? And can Ferrari pony up a little more success in Saudi Arabia? Or does Williams have the way? Tune in to find out. Well, anyway, thanks for watching, everyone. And I also want to say I have finally reached 200 subscribers, so I say thank you to my subscribers for tuning into my videos. I hope that more subscribers will come in the future. If you like, please subscribe and share with your friends to Formula Pun Racer, and I'll see you in the next video. I'm Aaron Cylinder, firing on all cylinders, and here are the final results for the Bahrain GP.